today I want to actually focus on the worst American Easter on record, and we're going to get to that in detail in just a moment, and for a large number of reasons for. But let me just first date this 14th day of April with the coronavirus, which we are in the midst of, and for historical purposes, of 500 years from now, we can look back on this event when you and I, or many of you, and I will be in the 1,000-year reign of peace. We can look back on this event, 500 years, and see how accurate we were about some things. It's very important. Elder Butler, it's very important that you understand that when we're 500 years into the process of going forward in the power of the elect, that we look back on this recording, and it'll probably be in some other form 500 years from now, and see the things that we were speaking about and how accurate they were and what all that process brought to bear. So let me date today is April the 14th, and we're in the middle of the coronavirus experience. And let me also state that for the record, that this coronavirus experience is just the beginning of sorrows. Right now, just for record keeping purposes, globally, there have been 1.9 million recorded cases of coronavirus, people that have detected it globally. The number of people that have died, or at least the number of people that have been reported, and these reports are inaccurate, and always it's higher than what we're actually stating here. That 120,450 people have died globally. We know that's a whole lot more. And perhaps even that many have died in America alone, but we'll get to that in a more detailed way. In the U.S., of course, not globally now, moving from the global statistics to the U.S. statistics, let's say that word right, 582,593 people have been diagnosed with the virus. Now, you have to know that is a minuscule amount of people that have been diagnosed in America with the coronavirus, but we'll get to that also. And the record so far is reporting at 23,649 people have died. So I want to do that for the record, Elder Butler, for 500 years from now, right? And what will be the year 25, 20. We can look at what I'm talking about today and see me as a younger man. I don't know what I'll look like then. I haven't reported. So let me say that what we are experiencing now is perhaps the worst Easter on record, and I'm going to give some reason why I asserted that today. You're probably already in agreement with that. But one of the greatest lies, I think, that, and even though Donald Trump, Tribulation Trump, has told some whoppers of lies, can I just, come up close for just a second? I want to share something with you, Evangelist Brown. Donald, listen to this for just a second now, and everybody, listen, Angela Kane, listen to this for just a second. And everybody, give some thought to this. Here's the deal. We all know, even the dyed-in-the-wool, die-hard, AR-15 toting Trump supporter knows that Trump is a liar. They know that. They know that, and they've accepted that. They've accepted that as the will of God. I mean, they really have accepted Trump's lies as the will of God. Now, I'll get into the weeds about that a little bit later on, but just a broad headline. They've accepted Trump's lies as the will of God. Okay, all right, fine. Listen, fine. But also now, concurrent with that is what I am by, and I'm a trained theologian. I'm not some Johnny-come-lately jackleg, just got off the boat preacher. I'm a trained theologian. I got a master's degree from Union Seminary or cemetery. The matter of the Southern Baptists having concurrently having promoted perhaps the greatest lie in Christendom. We're going all the way back to the early days of the Church of Asia Minor, with Paul the Apostle, with a rotor at the door and Peter knocking on the door, just got busted out of jail. Going all the way back to that period of time, the greatest the greatest lie that has been told, even a lie greater than the Aryan race, now listen to me very carefully, of Hitler's Germany. The greatest lie that has been told collectively, even greater than the lie of slavery, which had its foundation in the Bible, quite frankly. And this great lie has its foundation in the Bible as well. But the greatest lie told collectively by a group is the lie called the rapture. And it was put into movie. It was cast as Jesus Christ Superstar. The Rapture was actually made a mega $1 billion movie, Left Behind, right? So here we have these concurrents. One is that we have now the greatest liar in Christendom. Is Donald Trump. Now listen to this. Robert Jeffress knows that Trump. Robert Jeffress is the head of the pastor of the Southern Baptist First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Humongous of a church in terms of his reputation. All Southern Baptist evangelicals, Franklin Graham, Jerry Falwell Jr., all of these evangelicals in Southern Baptist know that Trump is a liar. They know it, but they believe it's divine. Robert Jeffress, Franklin Graham, and every other little mosquito slapping Southern Baptist evangelical know that Trump lies, but they believe it's divine, that God sent him to lie, that God's method of stopping abortions, that God's method of stopping the liberals, that God's method of a great economy is for Trump to lie. They believe it. They believe it. Okay, all right. So you got Trump himself as a liar, and then you got this great lie called the rapture. Okay, all right. Let me take a break for just a second because I want you to digest that for just a moment. Can I give you a moment to digest that? Because we've got these two complementing one another, right? And perhaps you've never thought about it along that wise. Some of you who are still, you'll listen to me, but you're still Southern Baptist, or you're still Trump because you're a racist, right? All right, okay. I mean, what, you know who you are, and I know who you are. And some of y'all are listening to me because you've come out of that. Some of you have been rescued by the teaching and preaching that we have done. You've been rescued out of that. So here, this past Easter, let's hypothesize here. Let's say that effectively, since the death of Jesus on the cross, Good Friday, resurrection on Easter Sunday morning, as you call it, it's Resurrection Sunday, that things would have, because of the blood of Jesus, right, things would have gotten progressively worse, that we would almost at present, as a humanity globally, whether it be in Australia, or even on Antarctica, if the polar bears are there, that one would think that because of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ and the teaching of the Gospels, that we would be living perhaps a utopian life, that life would be so perfect, so sinless. Now, after 2,000 years of Christian practice and packed out churches like Joel Osteen, right? That after 2,000 years of this, that our Christian experience would be a utopian experience, sinless, yea, about completely stomped down, sinless is how we would be living, you would think, right? Just the opposite is true. We're worse now than we were then. We're worse now since the getting the resurrection than we were prior to. And each succeeding year gets worse. Imagine this. Here you got a group of people, right? 30, 40, 50 million people in the Southern Baptist evangelical, Salem media movement, right? Who, they absolutely stomp down believe They know Trump is a liar. They know it. But they somehow or another are so twisted and perverted, they think that God sent him to lie. They think that God's purpose of stopping the liberals from aborting children is to have a president that lies, right? That's what they say. That's what they tell me anyway. And that's who they are. They believe that God is using Trump as a liar to set humanity free. Okay, that's what they believe. Hell, that's what they believe. And I think that the other thing is that, on Easter Sunday morning, that's what y'all call it, was resurrection right here in New York City alone. And you call New York City Gotham the center of hell, and you'd be right about that too, except for Harlem and the ATLAH Church. But in New York City alone, we had 671 people died on Easter Sunday morning. Check it out. That's how many were reported dead by the coronavirus. Now, you probably had 3 times that many die in New York. But on Easter Sunday morning, crying out loud, rather than people being resurrected, you got death. And then not globally, but across America, all 50 states and its territories, over 2,000 people died on Easter in America from the coronavirus. There are a whole lot of people died from a whole lot of other stuff. But that's what they say, 2,000 people on Easter Sunday morning, right? So it got to be, this is worse than Pearl Harbor. How many people died at Pearl Harbor? I don't think when they attacked when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, that 2,000 people died that morning. But 2,000 people died on Easter. So you figure, if it's God's holy day, if he's really having a good time on that day, I mean, if he's really Robert Jeffress and, Kenneth Copeland and T.D. Jakes and all that crowd, and Joel Osteen, then why so many people dying on the day you got up to live? That doesn't make a lot of sense, except that maybe we're in the tribulation and God's the one that's killing them. Then that would make sense. But it would only make sense to those who are theologically ready to deal with that. A little bit later on, I'm going to tell you about the deaths. I'm praying for deaths of the LGBTQ people. But preaching, I no business praying about no people dying. Okay, all right. Leave me alone, would you? And I'll tell you why. But before I do that, can I just share some things with you? Because the worst is yet to come. It's going to get a whole lot worse. This is it, my brother. Your best days are behind you. We as a member of the elect, we're going to be able to do some things. This social distancing is going to go on for a very, 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 very long time. It isn't going to stop in May or any other month, for that matter, that you can foresee in a major way. It's going to go on. This is the worst. The worst is yet to come. And even the people, even the heathens are telling you that, America, we're going to wake up to a brand new America. It's going to be a brand new world. It's a new world in the morning, Roger Whittaker. It's a new world in the morning. I met a man who had a dream since he was 20. I met that man when he was 81. Don't he know that there's no new tomorrow? Anyway, y'all know Roger Whittaker of London. Susan Christian, you should know Roger Whittaker. You're in Brighton. Roger Whittaker is a great English baritone or tenor? Baritone. So let me share a couple of things with those of you who are willing to hear me now. I'm going to share this only with the people that are willing to accept me and to support me. I don't have this information, be giving this information out to a bunch of moochers and robbers and thieves and people are just hypocrites. But can I share something? This is the whole matter of the coronavirus not ending in May or any other month that you know of. And the coronavirus death process will end at some point. They're going to come up with a vaccine and we'll move on, like polio. We'll move on. But not before structures will be put in place. Number one is that we're going to look at an awful food famine coming up shortly. The Smithfield plant out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Y'all ever go to Sturgis? Ever go out to Sturgis for the motorcycle event? That's in August, right? I was out there. My God, it was like 1 million men on motorcycles. I swear, I'm not lying to you. You ever Sturgis, South Dakota? And during the bikers, you're a biker, anybody out there, biker, raise your hand. Elizabeth not a biker, and neither am I, but we were out there. during the biker convention, I think back in I don't know what it was, 2000, I think it was. Maybe it's less than that. Anyway. But the Smithfield meat packing plant in Sioux Falls has closed indefinitely. Reason being, of the 3,700 people that work at that Smithfield meatpacking plant, I think something like 300 of them have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and one has croaked or died. And so the workers are in revolt and in mutiny, and they've closed down that meatpacking plant. Now, Smithfield is a pork processing plant, and it processes from anywhere from 4 to 5% of the American pork that's served across America. About 1.8 million servings of food per day is processed by that Smithfield pork. Now, Smithfield owns a ham company down in Virginia. You ever drive through Virginia? You ever see Smithfield hams out there in Virginia? Well, Smithfield, Virginia is where the big pork operation go, but they've got this plant out in South Dakota. They've closed it, which is going to put a strain on other meat packing plants, and not only pork, but other kinds. In other words, I'm trying to tell you, you're going to see a domino effect, because Smithfield is not the only place where they're going to have to close these shops down because you can't find anybody to go to work there. So there's going to be a bit of a famine. And there's no avoiding it. There's no getting around it. They're not letting the Mexicans in to pick the strawberries out in California. So what I want to do, I want to say a couple of things to the people that are with me. For those of you who are moochers, I curse you. Those of you who are moochers, who you just sit there and you just listen and you never lift a finger to help me help you. Because when I talk, when I teach, when I preach, I help you. But you are such a demented person that you never lift a finger to help me help you. Were I not here to help you, you'd be in a worse situation. So in order to get me to do this, you rely on other people helping me, and you steal from what other people do. That's who you are. So what's going on? You know, your mama couldn't change, your daddy, you've been raised that way all your life. You're not going to change for Jesus. But at any rate, for those who are not like you, let me just give a few words I think that are important for us for food survival. I told you that the ATLAH Church has purchased enough food for 70 days to feed our entire congregation for 70 days. Now we may go out and send Elder LaFleur back out there into the thicket again to buy more, because it could be longer than 70 days, because there's going to be a food war, if not an outright famine. There's going to be a food shortage. Let's put it that way. There's just going to be, I mean, listen, there was a toilet paper shortage a month ago, 3 weeks ago. It's going to be a food shortage. It's going to happen. So I wanted to give to those people who are supportive of me, who help, who send their offerings, their tithes and offerings. Let me just give you a word. The Lord told me to tell you this. Here's some things that you need to purchase. You know, you need to purchase lots of peanut butter, as much of it as you can get. Just go to the store right now. Right after you listen to me, after the Manna Report, run to the store. Well, not a word is store, but in North Carolina, it says store. And get as much peanut butter, but not, just hold it. Wait a minute now, just make a list. Get a pen and a paper, I'll give you a moment, because you need to make a list, all right? Because if there comes a food shortage, and there's going to be one, it isn't necessarily that always that there will not be food on the shelves. It's just that the price of the food is going to be so high that you can't buy it, because there's so little of it. And potentially there could be in some regions where there just isn't anything on the shelves anymore. But you could have a combination of both, where their food that is left, they're going to jack the prices up 1,000%. You just ain't going to be able to buy it. So go out there now and buy as much peanut butter as you can. All right? And crackers. These are things that are non-perishable. You know, you can store that peanut butter in a jar for 2 years. You know, it'll be ready when you open it up. Plus, it's nutritious. It's good for you, you know, I think. But that ain't all. Not only that, check this out. Buy also candy. You say candy? Yeah, candy. Candy like, you know, like Milky Ways, like Snickers bars, like peppermint candy, like chocolate, like, you know, like Almond Joy, like, I don't know, candy, for crying out loud. Yeah. You say, what about candy? Well, there's several reasons why I'm going to instruct our family members and older people as well to buy candy. First of all, is that thank you, Mr. Engineer. First of all, is because first of all, there's plenty of candy out there. Don't nobody know about this but you and I. See, the people are looking at, they're going out there buying chicken and, steak and a whole lot of other stuff, and they're trying to stock up on canned goods, but nobody's thinking about candy because they don't realize two things about candy. Number one, if you really get stomped down hungry and there ain't no food nowhere around, you can always open up a bar of candy. And it's quick, it's sweet, it's nourishing, and it supplies you with a burst of energy. If there ain't nothing else, when everything else is gone, a bar of candy. And not only that, for children who were trying to deal with why we don't have any Rice Krispies and why we don't have, and by the way, you can buy a lot of those, but those things are off the chart right now expensive. A box of Rice Krispies costs you $7. Kellogg's Corn Flakes costs you $8. Stay away from them now. Raisin Bran costs you $12. But you can feed children. Let's say, for instance, it gets really bad out here, right? And there ain't no food on the shelves, or you don't want to go out there because there's another outbreak of coronavirus and everybody's scared to go to the market. If you got a box full of candy, a big box full of candy, you could eat a bar of candy. It ain't a steak meal. It ain't a hamburger, but it'll nourish you for a while. It may get you from point A to point B. And the children will like it. So now don't go out there and tell everybody else, but don't go tell the heathens. Guess what? I heard that pastor, man, he told us, that man speaking with wisdom. All right. So after candy, you get the sardines, right? Most people know about that, so the price of them might be jacked off. Mackerels, too, if you've never had mackerels. They come in a can. And you can, they'll last for 2 or 3 years. I think the sale date on them, but there you can go 8-9 months past the date they're supposed to be sold. Mackerels, sardines, and get yourself a lot of mayonnaise and salad dressing, and it doesn't have to be refrigerated until you open it up. And you mix up some mackerels and make yourself a mackerel or sardine salad. And all canned goods, you can get them. The canned goods are gonna go. Now listen, understand this. This thing ain't over with, right? And there are going to be more food plants like Smithfield Food shutting down. These cans will last for a long time, and you can make yourself a little salad, right? And sardines as well. A lot of people know about sardines, but they don't know about the mackerels. All right, so then after that, I think that you can buy potatoes. Potatoes can last you. Put a bag of potatoes. Bag of potatoes will last you, 2-3 months. Just keep it in the bag. Keep it under cool in the dry place. And onions too, by the way. You say, Pastor Man, how we get from the Southern Baptists actually stomped down believing that Jesus sent a liar to save them to just listen. You ask too many questions, first of all. Well, no, you can never ask too many questions unless I get annoyed with you. So buy potatoes, because they could live 6 months. And if they grow some spuds on them, they start growing potato leaves on themselves and cut the spud out, stick it in the ground if you can do that, like the Matos people down there in New Jersey, and grow more potatoes. Onions, dates, you know what dates are, right? You Arabic people. Carrots. Now here's the thing I really want you to pay attention to. Buy chicken and turkey now, and save the bones. After you eat the chicken and after you eat the turkey, save the bones. Get a plastic bag, right? And put just a little tad of water after you get all the chicken off the bone, the meat. And then put the bones in a plastic bag and then squeeze all the air out of it, put a little water in there, and then wrap it real tight and put it in a refrigerator, not the freezer. By the way, turn your freezers down a little bit as well, because now that you're home, the children are opening the door all the time. So less food spoilage. But put the chicken in bones. The chicken bone, not the chicken. Put the bones. Save the bone. Don't throw away no bones. Save the bones for Henry Jones, because Henry don't eat no meat. That's from somewhere else. No, save the bones. Save chicken bones and turkey bones and bones of lamb and beef bones. Put them in a plastic bag, wrap them as tight as you can, put a little water on them to moisturize them, right? And then put them in the refrigerator, not the freezer, put them in the refrigerator, stack them back in the bag. And then what you can do is go out and buy yourself a big old bag, a 100-pound bag of rice, 100-pound bag of beans, right? It'll last you for 2 years. And you cook a little rice and beans, and when you're cooking the rice and beans, you can make a bean, with a lot of water and put some of them chicken bones or them lamb bones or beef bones in that beans, and man, you got yourself some good eating. Now, you ain't gonna have no meat. The beans are gonna be the meat. They're cheap. You can go out there and get beans right now. You can get a bag of rice. You can get 2 bags of rice. You can get, 2 bags of, and since y'all aren't driving your cars very much, you can store some of this stuff, you can store it in the back of your trunk of your car. Of course, don't tell anybody you got it because somebody will be breaking into your car. But you can eat some rice and beans with some bones. See, bones got marrow in them. Chicken bones, I'll tell you that. Every man from South Carolina, North Carolina know that if you want to be sexy, eat the bone. The chicken bone. Okay. Scratch that last part I said. Now, we eat bones from North Carolina. I don't know what y'all eat up here in New York and New England. Now we eat the bone. We eat the fish bone. I was gonna say get fish bone, but I don't like fish. Fish bones have more calcium in them, especially if you get salt fish or you get fish out of the sea, right? A fish bone, they just take the whole bone out the fish, and you can bone the fish, and that got more salt in it, but it's good salt, not even sea salt. It's good salt, good calcium, and all bones are full of calcium. That's right. Some of y'all, you got weak bones now, all that start eating more bone. And then the bones had the marrow in them, right? The beef has the best marrow. And, but chicken is good. Chicken bones, lamb, marrow, beef, marrow, and you cook your meals with them bones to flavor your bones. Years and years and years and years ago before I got religion. I'd tell you to get some ham hocks, but I would tell you, I don't eat pork. The reason being, I'm logical because I eat, but the pork has viruses in it. See, the pig has no immune system. This is absolute. Ask any doctor, ask any Jew, ask any priest. The swine has no immune system. You have an immune system. You catch a cold, little antibodies in your body get put on them boots and get that rifle. They go shoot the cold. You get rid of it in a couple of days. You're supposed to have an immune system to fight this coronavirus, right? It's supposed to be something in your body that puts his boots on, gets his rifle, go shoot that virus. But there's nothing. There's no antibodies. Pigs, swine, now listen to me, swine have absolutely no immune system. Any disease if a swine gets a disease, like a swine flu, for instance, right? If a pig gets a disease, that pork chop you're gonna eat gonna be full of all kinds of viruses. Now you can cook it, they say cook it well, and that way you can cook it out, but I don't really believe, that it don't get it all. So that's why I don't go for the ham hocks and the pork chops. Not that I don't, wouldn't eat them, because I used to eat pork chop, all the ham hocks, neck bones too. I don't do that no more because it's diseased. The swine has no immune system. I just say absolute truth. A rattlesnake can bite a pig and the snake would die because a pig is so poisoned. That's right. The pig has no conductor of his blood vessels in such a way as to get rid of the viruses. So they're just diseased animals. And everybody tell you that pork is diseased, but it's a lot of people would taste good. Don't go down that road. Get yourself some fish bones. Okay, I'm gonna relent. Get some fish bones. And chicken and turkey bones and store them. And it'll season your food. It'll season them rice and beans. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And you're gonna feel a whole lot better about that process once you And because there's going to, and even if, I'm not sure how much of a dearth, how much there is going to be a food shortage. If this coronavirus social distancing, have you seen all those long lines at Walmart? Have you seen those long lines at Costco's? And the lines are getting longer, and there are more people at cash registers getting sick at Costco's. And after a while, you'll be out there all day trying to get into Costco's or Walmart or any of these other stores for that matter. You just can't go on like this. I'm amazed that some of these people still go to work for Walmart for $12 an hour. And you got people these long lines, and then I don't know if you've seen all these long lines now at these food distribution plants where they give out food. People, not homeless people, but people just food pantries. This is not going to end next month. And so buy this food and, store it. You can even use the trunk of your car to store some. You got a trunk, your closets in your house, turn down your refrigerator a little bit more, and you can make it through this process. You can buy enough food, candy, canned goods, bones. Well, every time you get a chance to buy chicken, because you can't buy too many of them because you got to refrigerate them. You can buy one a week if you can get one, a turkey a week if you can get one, and then save the bones. You can get a package, you get 30, 40 packages of bones. Keep them cool, keep them in a cool place, and season your food. So I thought I would share that with y'all, to help everybody make it through the day. I'll be giving more instructions on this as it goes along. This is a little bit different for the Trust in the Lord Hour, but I figured I'd try to help some of y'all because this thing ain't over with yet. It ain't hard. The worst is yet to come. Here's what I'm going to do. We've not been able to have any kind of congregational assembly in a very long time. It's been over 5 weeks now. And I told everybody, well, get up in the mornings on Saturday mornings and dress up like you're going to church and just sit there and watch me on the TV or watch me on the computer or whatever it is you're going to do, right? So the LaFleur family, y'all know Elder LaFleur, right? Y'all know Sabbath. The LaFleur family got a bunch of children. And so they were singing a song. They were trying to cop 12 Watt song. She wrote a song the other day, and they've been singing that song. So I asked the engineer to let me take a little bit of a break today, and then I'm going to come back to these lying people. Now these are the LaFleur children. Throw them up there, Miss Angela, so I can. All right, you got the one on your left, the tall one. Her name is Truth. Then you got the other male one, that boy standing there. His name is Honor. Because black men don't have no honor. And then the one you got the one standing beside him is called Victory. Give the Lord the Lord giveth us the victory. You hear about that? I was in a Hispanic church in the Bronx, and it's a large Spanish congregation. I went up there to preach, and one of the young ministers in the church, he got up to shouting. I thought he was shouting because I was preaching so good. He got up and started shouting and said, "Lord, give me the victory! Lord, give me the victory! Lord, give me the victory!" He was just shouting and shouting and shouting up there in the Spanish church. Put the pitch back up there, Mr. Engineer. And so come to find out, he wasn't shouting because of my preaching. There was a young woman in the choir named Victory. He was praying the Lord would give him, that's what he was saying anyway. So you got victory, and then you got justice, right? So if you start where justice is, if you can step on her head, you can step on the other, and you'll be that's about the most even step I've ever seen. But they're going to sing a song, right? They're going to sing a song. This is the LaFleur family, okay? They got another one, but she won't join. She's a teenager. She thinks she's too much for this one. And by the way, she went to college at 16 years old. I told the elder, man, your daughter too young to go to college. Anna's her name. Anyway, she's in college at 16 years old. But this is the crowd that's left. Mr. Engineer, roll that clip.
The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. we shall not be cast down. For the Lord upholdeth his hand. I shall never beg bread, and I'll never be defeated. For the Lord is my refuge and my strength. I shall never beg bread, and I'll never be defeated. For the Lord is my refuge and my strength. For the Lord is my shelter and my shield. I have been young and now am old, yet have I never ever seen the righteous forsaken nor receive begging bread. He is merciful, yes, and he is blessed. I shall never beg bread, and I'll never be defeated. For the Lord is my refuge and my strength. I shall never beg bread, and I'll never be defeated. For the Lord is my refuge and my strength. For the Lord is my shelter and my shield.
All right, okay, so that's the low floor quartet. It's the closest thing we've had to any kind of congregational singing in nearly 5 weeks now. Praise the Lord. So thank you, Elder and Sabbath. And of course, truth and honor and justice, and the truth, victory, and justice. Yesterday, Daniel's mother, Winnemugo, is that her name? She contacted Elizabeth. I'm not sure what the conversation was. I didn't find out what they were talking about, but it was good. I guess it was good to hear from her. When Elizabeth told me that she had contacted her, asked how's Daniel doing. We haven't seen him now most of this year, but praise Almighty God for the opportunity to serve. Now let's get back to the fact that the worst is yet to come. All right, this coronavirus is nothing compared to the events that lie ahead of us. And, this has got to be on record. I mean, we've had some bad Easters. I know during the time of Hitler's Germany, the Passover was I think it was during the time of the Passover in Germany that a group of rabbis got together and they put God on trial. They took the Torah, they took the Tanakh or whatever, and they held a conference, a group of rabbis. And they said that God was negligent in his duties towards the Jews because he was allowing the mass slaughter and massacre of Jews by Hitler, who was a racist pig. And they convicted God for letting so many Jews die. At some point in time, I'm going to be, perhaps later on today, talking about how the LGBT crowd, the gentrifiers and the bankers and the pensioners Negroes have gotten together. And they have caused a Harlem Holocaust, a Holocaust in Harlem of what they've done to the Hamite people here in Harlem. I'll get to that. But this has got to be the worst Holy Week. I know that I'm not taking it away from anything away from my Jewish brothers and sisters. But this has got to be the worst American Easter in the history of Easters in America with the coronavirus, with the number of deaths of people that have died. And, every church in America, except for some, was empty on Easter Sunday morning. Every church in America was empty. I mean, you would think that Jesus would protect that worship service. I debated greatly as to whether or not I would continue the tradition of the resurrection in my preaching on this past Easter sunrise service morning, because I said perhaps we need to be moving on to something else, such as the tribulation, rather than focusing on the resurrection, because The churches are going to be emptied. There has never been a time in the history of Americans or Italians or Europeans where Easter, which is a traditional Gentile holiday, where all the churches in Europe and America were empty. Think about that for just a second. Think about that for just a second. Because if Jesus wanted them to be filled, they would be packed to the brim as they have been in days gone by. You know, everybody go to church on Easter twice a year. Christians go to church on Christmas and Easter. But think about that. Historically, this is a first. There has never been in the history of America or European Gentile Christian religion where every church in Europe and America was empty on Easter Sunday morning. Now, it's really the resurrection Sunday morning, but y'all, if I say resurrection, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Got to be the worst church day on planet Earth. Got to be the worst day for the church on planet Earth. And yes, it was. This past Easter was. Yes, it was. And I got news for you. The worst is yet to come. That was just an introductory event this past Easter. Empty churches, right? I did raise the question, however, why is this coronavirus taking place and why the tribulation itself? You got people like Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes. Those two have been on public national television, on regular secular television. They've been paid. They've been running ads that are paid for by TBN, the broadcast network or whatever it is, by Jan and Paul Crouch, T.D. Jakes, and Joel Osteen. They are on television now talking about. I think Joel Osteen's thing is, And by the way, the boy. It looks like he's smiling. I said, what a wonderful smile. He's always smiling. He ain't smiling, got a cleft lip. He can't close that lip. But he's on television talking, well, you can choose. No, we can choose. We can choose fear, or we can choose hope. We can choose fear over here in these times that we are now living. Choose fear over here, or we can choose hope. Joel Osteen. And so I say to you, for your best day, in these troubled times, choose hope over fear. Yes, choose hope, not fear. No fear, choose hope. So that's him, picking this other guy, this great big whale. This guy looks like a whale. I mean, it could hop on. You can make this guy an aircraft carrier. He's so fat and big. T.D. Jakes, right? Here he come. There's voices out there. There's voices out there. And you're gonna have to not let those voices out there tell you. You got to go with the voice of the Holy Ghost. Yes, you got to go with the voice of his stomach sticking out. Yeah, boy. You gotta go with the voice of the Holy Ghost in these troubled times, and the Lord will see you through. Yeah. These guys are clowns. And by the way, they didn't pay for this. It's not on behalf of their church. They don't talk about their church. This TBN. And then they got this guy Franklin Graham. I'm not going to do him. I ain't been that drunk yet. So you got the Southern Baptists, right? I mean, think about this for just a second. But that a whole group of evangelicals would believe. Now I know that in 1 Kings chapter, 1 Chronicles chapter 20, that Jehoshaphat, that God sent a lying spirit to confuse the king of Israel, and those lying prophets to Micaiah came along. I know that. I know that. But God sent that to defeat the king of Samaria, of Israel. So if you believe, and a lot of these people, thank you, Mr. Engineer, the 2 Chronicles, well, not Kings. Now, therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these prophets, like Joel Osteen, Franklin Graham, Robert Jeffress, T.D. Jakes, you know, and the Lord has spoken evil against these people. So he sent Donald Trump with a lying tongue. So if you step back now and look at, and then mainly this is, these are Japheth people, right? If you step back and look, this is what God has done to the Southern Baptist Evangelical. God has sent a lying spirit into those so he can defeat them. So he can defeat them. So it's not unthinkable what they're doing. It's just that one needs to step aside and at least somebody needs to come along like me and tell you the truth, what God has done. God has put a lying spirit. Tribulation Trump has told more lies than you shake a stick at. And they say God sent him. Well, okay. All right, I guess I haven't seen them use that scripture. They use a whole lot of other scriptures. I haven't seen them use that one because that one is too true. But that's what's happening in our nations. So this matter that's going on right now is not going to be over with. Oh, the coronavirus, there'll probably someone will come up with an antibody or somebody will come up with a vaccine, for instance. And at that point, once you get it, they can, your body. By the way, if you've had it, I don't know if I've had it or not. I think all my staff people, all my media people, I think they've all had it. They're all wearing masks now. I think all of them had it. But I think, that God let them have it, then he took it away from them because he figured that I was going to be sitting there by myself trying to figure out how to broadcast to you. So he cleared them up. But what they're saying now about this virus is that once you have it, and this is every other virus, once you have it and your body learns how to fight it, you can't get it a second time. That's what they say. I don't know about this one. This could be different. But once you have it, you're good to go. The problem is that a lot of people can have it and don't know that they have it. Now, a lot of people don't know that they got it. A lot of people got it, and some people get sick, have to go to the hospital, got to get ventilated. Others don't. It's a real strange process of things that are going on. But I can tell you, it's not over with yet. And why would it be? Listen, you and I, we've been around for a while, right? So I figure you got some sense. Think about this. Think about this, Elder Butler. In the history of Christendom, the American and European churches have never been empty on Sunday morning. It was always been just the opposite. Just the opposite. They were completely packed. Now they're completely empty. I've studied, some degree of the church in China. And the church in China mimicked the church of the early church of Ephesus, of Corinth, of Galatia, of Philippi, Thessalonica, where Paul was setting up these small house churches, right? And the Roman government that was then in dominance at the time was against Christianity. And so the Christians could not identify where they were worshiping at. And they would do normally house churches, and they would use the sign of the fish to let people know if you see a fish here, that worship is being held at night. Then they take the sign of the fish down. So people would know, because they'd be moving from place to place, so the Romans wouldn't catch them. Well, the Chinese have done this for many, many years, because you get caught with a Bible in China, you go into the electric chair, boy. So the Chinese have done the same things in China and in Mongolia, trying to promote Christianity. But there's never been a time, even in the face of death, Christians have always gathered. Even if they had to gather in secret, Christians always gathered on Easter or Resurrection Sunday morning. Even if in the face of death, but to the year 2020, there ain't never been nothing like this before. It ain't never been nothing like this worst resurrection ever. And, I preached. I did a sunrise worship service, and I went home and had a meal and fell asleep. But there ain't never been nothing like this, and I can tell you the worst is yet to come. It may subside for a while. You know, this Andrew Cuomo boy, he's the governor up here in New York. I don't know if y'all know him out there down in Arkansas and over yonder in Oregon. But this boy, Andrew Cuomo boy, he's the governor up here, and he's talking about the worst is over with yet. And it very well may be in terms of people going into the hospitals and or the people dying. You know, the other thing is that you want to pay, Sister Bennett, you want to pay attention to is the segregation. For instance, if you go to Wyckoff Hospital out in Brooklyn, or Brookdale Hospital out in Brooklyn, or St. Barnabas Hospital up in the Bronx, you know, some of these hospitals in the dead heat of the ghetto, they still got major problems. They still got overcrowding. They still got people in the hallways and dying in the hallway, yet they're now saying Mount Sinai and some of the other, you know, Columbia Presbyterian, that all is well. This is like hospital segregation. You know, and they're not talking about everything. So it ain't all right at Brookdale or Wyckoff or St. Barnabas up in the Bronx or some of these other ghetto hospitals. So I'm looking at this. I said, wait, am I living in two worlds? One person Cuomo will get on and say, well, the number of people entering is less and the number of people that are dying is less. But that might be at Mount Sinai. You know, or Columbia Presbyterian, which is a prestigious, one of the most prestigious, two most prestigious hospitals in New York City. Well, everything might be good there. But what about Brookdale? What about St. Barnabas? What about Wyckoff? What about Caledonia Hospital? What, these hospitals? Anyway, so I said, Lord have mercy. These people just can't help but segregate. They can't help themselves. Then they get on, then Cuomo's running for president. All is well, the worst is behind us. How do you know? The worst is behind us now. You know, 2,900 beds at the Javits Center, and well, now we won't need that any further. But I also want to thank all of you for your giving on Cash App. Praise the Lord. You know, by the way, I told y'all if you're in business, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about this. If you got a business, you need to find out how to file for small business to get a loan to cover your expenses for your employees and for your overhead for the next 2 months. The government's handing out this money. You can't open up your business because ain't nobody coming to it. So you need to be able to aware of that. And then, you know, other small businesses need to know how to apply for payroll protection program. All that. Esther Butler's working on that. I'm going to bring her down and she's going to be on the air talking about it. I'll let her know when Esther, when we're going to do that. But those of you who are giving to support the ministry, you know, I'm helping you. You're being helped. Help me help you. You know, help me. Send your tithes and offerings here. And not just that. You know, not just that, but you send your tithes and offerings here. God's going to bless you. You know, let me tell you something. The sending your tithes and offerings to this ministry will change your life economically and spiritually and health-wise forever. The tithe and the offering. That's right. And so it isn't just a matter of you helping me to help you. I think I talked to you about that because you can understand that. But no, you send your tithes and offerings. I'm going to tell you something, unless Jesus is a liar, you ain't never been so blessed. There's people in our church I was talking that the Lord has blessed beyond belief because they came here, they had nothing. Nothing. N-O-T-H-I-N-G, nothing. And now they're sitting on the top of the world. Why? Because of the tithe and the offering. So go to the Cash App. Thank God for many of y'all who are figuring out how to work that Cash App thing. And, you know, praise God. This is a bit of a news blog we do looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I am he. I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning. And I'm here to serve you with news and information.